Time is 5:30. You can put pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Yeah. Councilmember Arnold. Here. Councilmember Bryson. Here. Councilmember Carlton.
Here.
Councilmember Carson.
Present.
Councilmember Gorman.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Here.
Councilmember Woodhouse.
Here.
City Attorney Norton.
Here.
You hear Julie?
Yeah.
Acting Chief,
Here.
Director Olson.
Here.
Secretary Olson. Admin Assistant Spurt and here.
Right. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Thank you.
All in favor? No any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Yeah, a second.
One mic at a time.
Yes, I gotta find another power cord to the big speaker, but I apologize.
That's fine, you can turn it off.
That was, all right, thanks. All right, I'm gonna move on to here's the mayor's message. First off, I apologize, it was a misleading that, Patrick Cannon was not making it today. He does have to work. But there'll be other opportunities, hopefully in the future, depending on how council, chooses their vote. In the event that he is appointed, then he will be sworn on Monday, on the 11th at City Hall, but there will be an official swearing on the 20th, again, pending council approval. Me and Mr. Valentine are working on 2025 and 2026 to get ready for the budget retreat here in the fall. We're hoping to have it for 2 days opposed to one, so we get more in depth with city council. And the public will be able to see all the cogs in the wheel moving. We've appointed a new civil service commissioner, Paul Koploff. So if you want to reach out to him, please let us know and we'll get you his information. The city campgrounds are doing very well. Last month, as soon as all the other revenue come in, it's over $10,000 in 1 month. So it's growing. We're moving to monthly reservations as well. More upgrades are happening. Wi-Fi will be installed tomorrow as soon as the box comes. So we'll have that option too as well. And this fall, we will be keeping sites open for year round. That's all I have for now. The passports, one more thing, I apologize, Passport Center. The construction for that is still going on. So they're setting up the walls and everything to get that ready. We moved away from renovating the back portion for City Hall. They're gonna need that space. Deputy clerk and the utility clerk both agreed they'll stay where they are. They'll just revamp that little breezeway there to get more lobby space for people to come in. But the Passport Center, when that gets all taken care of, stuff, we'll do a walkthrough. All right, we'll move on to reports of city officers. Would like to start having two gates.
Sure. So, we qualified for new pistols last week. They are now in service. Everybody seems to like them. With our updating the rifles, they were prior short barrel rifles. I reached out to the ATF and found that they had not been registered as short barrel rifles. The previous administration had taken care of that. All rifles are now registered with ATF. And then on a primary note, on Saturday, one of our officers, while attempting to catch up to a vehicle coming into town at about 85 miles an hour, to avoid a collision with the semi, and he put his car in the ditch. Car was a total loss. Fortunately, our officer's okay.
Thank you. And then there's a statement that's going out across today because some people has been brought aware. We are waiting on WSP's investigation to come in, so it's more proper. But one of the statements that was put out Would be unfortunate this incident highlights one of the many dangers that officers face while protecting and serving our community. Speed limit are posted for a reason, to ensure the safety of the driver and those around them and our officers. When individuals choose to speed, they're not only putting their own lives at risk, but also others engaging everyone on the road, including law enforcement personnel. This is something that we take very seriously, and as our top priority is safety, as in the well-being of our officers and citizens of Silver Lake. We are following all proper protocols and will provide an update as appropriate. Let this serve as a clear reminder: speeding, reckless behavior that puts others at risk will not be tolerated in or through Silver Lake. And that will be a message that goes out to the public for the news. All right. Director Eli Olson.
We have some great stuff going on at Public Works. We have two more guys with spray licenses. Dylan and Jacob both got their licenses last week, scored very well. That gives us a total of 3, so hopefully we can start getting caught up on some of the weeds that are around town. We've got the striping machine up and running. Actually, we've got the backup up running too, so we're gonna get in and start painting some curves and painting around the fire hydrants. It's badly needed. We will be, and this is long overdue, but we are putting the water line into the dog park next week. We have 811 out there this week. It's marked out, so we will get a water line in there, and then we'll be able to start adding some fence and sprinkler system in there. The fine screen parts have arrived from Germany, so hopefully we hope to have that back online tomorrow afternoon. And then I just want to go over some information. Maybe a lot of you don't know that we've got 2 lift stations in town. So the one sits back behind the spa. So all of the sewage from that side of town goes to lift station 1, and then it flows down to lift station 2. From lift station 2, it's pushed up the hill to the sewer plant. We had an incident last week. The guys caught it quick, where each one of those stations has 2 pumps in it for redundancy. We lost a pump on lift station 2. It's my understanding that those are 40 years old. So we were all very nervous knowing that we have one 40-year-old pump. If those both go down, the sewage ends up in a lake unless we can get basin septic or somebody here before they overflow. And I'm estimating that we have like an hour to an hour and a half window before those vaults fill up. I want to give kudos to my guys. We got down there. We weren't familiar with the pumps. I considered it to be an emergency, so we looked at bringing in an outside contractor. There was nobody available, and the guys got in there. They got it fixed. We figured out what the problem was. We do have some spare parts on order just to be safe. In the process of that, we discovered that the dialers that are on both stations were not functional anymore. The phone lines had been shut off to them, which is scary because if those stations had gone down in the middle of the night, they should be calling. The calls go generally to me and then Brian, but we wouldn't have known. So the guys got in, those are both fixed. They were all tested. They're dialing out. Both of them aren't out. We swapped them over to cellular. And then we found out that the backup generator had not been started since 2023, that it had had a power surge and was not operable, which really is another disturbing deal, because if we would have lost just power for an hour and a half, one of those stations could have overfilled. So we got in contact with the company that came out and looked at it in 2023. Because I just said, give me the parts. We needed to work. The parts weren't available for it. So we were able to go down there, and it's not working in the sense that it had before. Before, if the power would have gone out, it would have started itself and ran. That's the part that didn't work anymore, but we were able to figure out a process. The plant, they will call us, let us know that they don't have power, and Brian or myself will go down and start the generator. So we are covered there. So we don't want to put a lot of money in either one of them or the generators because all that stuff is supposed to be replaced next year. But I want to make sure that everything is functional and our safety mechanisms are in place. So as of right now, we are in good shape. And like I said, I want to give a kudos to my guys because they really got in and got it taken care of.
Wow, thank you. Okay.
So, person here.
Okay, basically right now, just for information purposes, a total of 5 open cases. And that may not sound like a lot, but they're pretty detailed and it's been an ongoing working with the Public Works and some others on these cases. So there's only 5 open right now. And with regards to other issues, we now have 64 dog licenses that have been issued, 4 new ones since last month, which is kind of nice. More people are paying attention and getting their dogs licensed. We've had several non-criminal citations issued. In Zone A, there was one in the 100 block of Fern Street North, and that was for a public nuisance, which included a vehicle hull. And then on the 500 block of 3rd Avenue North for abandoned vehicles and junk, also a public nuisance. It is noted that that particular property in the 500 block is a repeat offender since 2019. And then the 300 block of 2nd Avenue Southeast in Zone C, there's 2 property owners that were cited for public nuisance violations, which included no dog licenses and conducting business without a city license or a city endorsement to their state license, business license. And that's my report. Any questions or anything? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chambers? Oh. Yeah, good.
Okay, I wasn't here for the last couple of meetings, so I did the work. I want to say thank you to everybody that came out to Citizen Side. I hope you enjoyed it. The 3-on-3 car show, everything, the volunteers. It was an amazing day, and for the most part, I'd say it was a success. So we just want to do a shout out and let you know that we really appreciate everybody that came out, not only supported the chamber, but the city also, and all our local small businesses. Hopefully, you know, we can continue on this for the next several years and continue to build on that. This weekend on Saturday, we do have the Moonlight Paddle. It's a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
The one event I'm not overly involved with, so I'm asking questions. Please come out if you have a kayak, canoe, stand-up paddle, or inflatable. We will have trophies. The Delbred and Cloudview will have food and beverages, things like that. It's gonna be a good time. You will need to have all your safety gear. The Marine Patrol unit, we have all our licenses for that, and that all of that stuff will be checked to make sure that you are in compliance. We do have a chase vehicle this year, or chase boat this year, to go ahead in case someone has an issue while they're out on the water. But other than that, come out, decorate, have a good time, and it will be this year at West Beach due to the water levels and everything. So we're hoping that's gonna improve attendance. So thank you.
Thank you. We're just moving right on, keep going with report to standing special committee. Anything from utilities? Else? No? Okay. Councilwoman, Cora?
I have a brief report about the, LLC, and I have a brief report, about the Lake Liaison Committee, and, we'll be, I did handouts to the, council members, and if we have time today, we'll get that, taken care of, but, I'll give my other reports later. DJ.
Going to push that button there.
Hi, the creative district. So we're working with our, Economic Development Committee and the steering committee for the creative district in Silver Lake on our goals and priorities, which we've already created because we had to do that in order to qualify, but we're going to discuss those with the mayor and then we'll finalize our priorities into the citywide goals, so that's happening. And we're going to have a special meeting, well, not a special meeting, it'll be a regular council meeting, I believe. In September, we're gonna have a visit from our creative district director, Aaron, for explaining how CDs work and to give the public and the council a review, because it's been a couple of years since we had all the information in front of everybody. So it'd be a great time to come and learn and see what creative districts do and how they lift up the economy. Let's see. Oh, we're also working on a celebration for our status, and that will happen sometime this fall. And we also worked with the Silver Lake Library for an art display. They went through a renovation process, and there's some art on the walls now, and I think we might be partnering them going forward. And just to plug for those guys, they're having a special craft class on October 2nd. They're gonna start that again. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I want to get in here to, report from the city city officers report stating a special committee for the fire department. We did meet up with the new fire chief, outstanding guy, really excited. I may have brought him a bouquet of American flags. Eli is my witness. But if you have an opportunity, I suggest you go out and meet him. Really, really nice guy. All right. All right, we're gonna move on here to, public comment. Would anyone like to come up to the podium, state your name and address, and have a public comment?
With buttons. Thomas Page, appreciate that, great. Just to be real quick, hopefully the city recognizes the officer they can give them an upgrade for, stepping up the plate and going down and give responsibility. So, that is, Eli, maybe you guys can look into getting a small pump truck or something on, surplus or something, if they have one, that way. Give her comments. Your second that they did to the out of both that council. Do the wake up, so just let me know. And next one for Peter, Mr. Sharp, maybe you wanna update, cheat code date. There's a lot of it has revised, go down to the city hall and get new copies, and I don't wanna go down there and bug Jody every day or every other day. You got more important things to do. And this is for the later, the fact when you guys donated that money to Chambers, which, I know you looked into it, it's legal, I just wanna know if you were aware, they've got 5 members of Chamber of Commerce that are on council. Because, you check the bridge and that's a thing. Well, I'm certain you guys vote on, you guys, got unbiased and when not to, when to vote, but I didn't know if the lawyer, the attorney and Mr. Sharp needed their fighting. And that is some unconflict conflict, it's an ethical thing, and when you guys have your meeting, such as 5 of you, like the attorney said last meeting, when there's more than 4 of you, it's a quorum, period. And that's open public records, so maybe down the line, sure you guys can all get together, have a meeting, and watch each other's back, and, we got features off, and I'm not here making a calendar issue about it, I don't got no beef about it, I just wanted to let you guys were aware, cause I was, and you guys say you want to do I do this, I just recently found out Mr. Woodhouse, but I kinda figured, Mr. President, you were figured doing the art script, but I didn't know you were. I'm not. But it said in the book that you're already from out. I don't attend meetings. But I did say you're a paid member. Yeah, I came here, you're still support the chamber, that's all, that's my involvement. I was just putting up the chain, I'm not here to argue legal out or not, just like Andrew here, his business on it, was just for technically, you know, it's just technology because, you know, someone wants to push the issue, it could become a headache. And I'm just trying to prevent a headache for you guys and for the state itself. I mean, if I'm gonna sit up here and complain about anything, you know, I gotta also come up with solutions to it, you know, just to let it be out there and public that, you know, there is other interest, because not good. You got turkey before I can chamber of dinner community, I can't figure out why it's only business and tourism. Well, part of it, I feel now, I think there's a lot of chamber of commerce people out there, you guys are thinking about, you know, tourism and business, and you ain't thinking about. And, you know, there's, I know you get the business, so, you know, the way to run town, the way, either, as you guys know the difference between non-profit, not-for-profit. And you guys are running it like a not-for-profit, you're not running it as a non-profit. So, you know, then you guys need to put over that thinking, right? Rest of variety.
If you don't mind, normally, I know we don't address this, but yes, at that vote for that money, we recused ourselves from that vote, just so you know. And the other thing is our meetings, and I've made a point of putting on there, if there's public, this is a public meeting, but it's also several council members will be in attendance, but I can usually tell you, it's just Karen and me.
I mean, I understand that, I was just trying to make it transparent, so the attorney's aware of how many belong to it, if you're on the board or not, that's side point.
Yeah.
Just so you know, some of you guys, even if I thought we would start when I was young, about it, and he said he was gonna wear that, and I was just going off the websites and stuff, I don't know where to tell my personal wording wise, but.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Or would someone else like to come up and make a comment?
Yeah.
Please state your name and your address, please.
We're back with 33 North Dogwood. I'm a little confused here. We're hiring a new police chief. But our former police chief, Brian Cox, has been terminated, but he's appealing his termination. And if he wins his termination, or if he wins his appeal, it's gonna be a long drawn out, court type of thing, and no telling how much it will cost the city and how far it will go. But if you win this appeal, which I think he has a really good chance, because I don't even understand, and council people that I talk to can't even explain to me what it was he did in order to be terminated. And so that is not a very strong statement. And so if he wins that appeal, then of course, he's back and he's the police chief again. And you hired a new guy. And so the new guy has to go. Now, he'll have a contract with a clause in it that he has to go before this contract's up. The city has to buy him out and pay a stipend type of thing or a salary, which probably would at least start going to the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this is a huge roll of the dice for the city to go out and do this. And the attorney that represents Ryan Cox, and we've had a chance to experience him when he was here on March 25th, and he came in and talked to the city about, you know, the beginning of the process on dealing with Cox and the stuff that the city had a terrible time. They look very, very bad. He basically just ate them up. He's a 5-star attorney, defense attorney. This is all he does is defend police. And so your chances of him looking at the cases and strong to begin with, and he's such an excellent attorney, there's a very good chance that he will be, Cox will be reinstated again. And then you'll have to deal with this huge problem of having 2 police chiefs and having to buy out the big guy, basically.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to make a comment? Fire District 7?
Simply professional.
Simply professional. Gotcha.
I have wear 2 hats, so, taking wear this for a moment. So 15%, around 15% of our youth in our community have used vape products in the past 30 days. That's nearly double the statewide average of 7.7%. So this isn't just a number, it's a warning. To raise awareness and build connections, we've recently hosted a vape awareness basketball tournament where 19 youth and adult teams competed. The event drew over 120 people to our town. We were able to offer valuable information and resources to both participants and spectators. This effort benefited not only our youth and families, but also supported a little bit of economic stimulation. It's a small but tangible step toward addressing the issue of youth substance use. It's true, there are other more potent substances that pose dangers to our youth, and we are working to address those as well. But because vaping, nicotine, and marijuana is so commonplace, and it doesn't seem to cause immediate, obvious harm, its risks are often overlooked. In reality, vaping poses serious risks, especially to youth, including addiction. The nicotine used in these substances is often a higher concentration, and the delivery device is more targeted, and it becomes highly addictive, particularly for developing brains. Impaired brain development. Vaping can interfere with memory, attention, and learning. And it affects their frontal lobe development, and it also affects their success in school. Mental health effects. Vaping is linked to increased anxiety, depression, and mood disorders. Teenagers already have enough of that. Lung damage. Vaping can cause inflammation, lung injury, and long-term respiratory issues. And I'm going to say it, right? It's a gateway to other substances. Early use of nicotine or THC increases the risk of future substance misuse. So these devices are often the starting point for the substance use journey that becomes harder to interrupt over time. We believe that prevention works best when everyone is at the table. We're calling on community members, city leadership, schools, health providers, local businesses, and youth serving organizations to come together and build real lasting solutions for prevention and harm reduction. Let's not wait for things to get worse. Let's make our current environment better together. Monthly Soap Prevention Coalition meeting will take place here on August 26th at 5 p.m. And we hope to see you there. We're even going to bring food this time. It'll be a potluck. All right. So a potluck here, 5 p.m. And there is also an organization that is probably going to be zooming in. They may come in themselves, but they're interested in Washington State University is interested in working with law enforcement and fire in the city to create a town hall to address opioids in this community. So come be a part of the process.
Thank you very much. Now, please state your name and your address.
Katie Buchanan, 5062 Highland Drive Northeast. I just wanted to do a huge shout out for those wonderful shower heads down at the beach. Those are amazing. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Did I not see my name?
I know your name. I know your name. Okay, I got it.
The rest of the beaches will have the same head we put on. The reason why we chose those is the nozzles in them are interchangeable. They pull out, so they're easily cleaned and they're easy.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If any more comments from public? Do you mind just pressing that little red button right there? Thank you. All right, we're closing public comments. 5:59. No old business. New business. Council approval of hiring of chief of police. Is there a motion to approve the appointment of Patrick Canopy as chief of police?
I want to talk about it, so I'm gonna make the motion.
Yep.
To hire this candidate.
Is there a sec, there's a motion on the floor, is there a second? Second, John?
Yeah.
Open for discussion. Maybe I can start with having Acting Chief Gates give you a little bit about his history with Mr. Kennedy.
So then, you know, I've been here about 10 years. When I first started, Mr. Kennedy's been an officer for the entire time. I've leaned on him a lot for questions throughout the year. He's been a big time mentor for me. I think he'd be a great person to hire, but like I said, it's your guys' choice. I don't have any issues with him. I know the guys in the department are excited about him as a possible candidate.
Thank you.
So I've been doing a lot of digging into this. I don't have a city computer, so I wasn't aware that he was in town last week to answer questions. And I had some really good questions, so I had to do the digging myself for it. We haven't seen a resume, so I haven't been able to ask the questions. I didn't know he was in town. I want to know if he has any verifiable administrative experience. Running a department, dating officers isn't a job that you take lightly, especially with our department's track record. Soap Lake has had a really bad go of it at the police department, all the way back to once. Another question that I had was Officer Kennedy have any verifiable budgeting experience? Soap Lake Police is one of the Soap Lake's largest budget line items, and it should require some sort of experience. Another big one that I have, I know he's been an officer in Ephrata for years and years. How many times has he been passed over for promotion there? Why? When I last expressed concern to you, I got bombarded with phone calls from you and the city attorney. I was told that I needed to back my mayor's decision and I needed to appoint Kennedy. I found out that's not the case. And I'll go back to the ordinance 210-030 appointment. All department heads shall be appointed by mayor and shall be confirmed by a majority of the whole city council before assuming office. I was told that I needed to back him. The other thing that I kind of felt blindsided by is there was a press release last week naming him the new chief of police when the appointment hasn't taken place. That kind of felt like a strong arm tactic in my eyes. Also, I'm really curious how a $58,000 a year salary increase from our former chief of police is justifiable for a candidate that doesn't have the experience that the city needs. He hasn't held a supervisor position. He has no budget management or administrative experience. How is that good for the city of Soap Lake? How is it good for our citizens? After everything that I've done and everything I've looked into and the people I've talked to, I've got to vote no on this.
I understand your concern completely. One, I would never force you to a vote, so that would never happen. Two, the information that I sent you, that you had the conversations that you had with the city attorney, that was informative to showing the process. Nothing to do, I would never force anyone to vote. Council, obviously, it's up to you no matter what, regardless of what I say or anyone else says, obviously it is your decision. I would never put that on you. Yes, Mr. Kennedy is over 26 years of experience. He has talked with myself as well as Mr. Valentine to go over budget, to look and see what he's getting to as well. I would never put the city into jeopardy in any way that way whatsoever. So his background, everything's done lawfully, 100%. So I understand your concern. Yeah.
He does not have the experience. He butts heads with coworkers. He butts heads with supervisors. He's aggressive. I think this is a bad fit for Soap Lake. I think this is going to put Soap Lake in the news again and not a positive light.
So why didn't you make a press release to the paper?
Order.
For the vote.
I'd like to.
I'll answer it, yeah. But if we could please make sure this is just for council. And the other.
How do you know the things you just said? Is this personal experience?
I went out and I did the research.
Okay.
I talked to the people, I dug into his background. I don't have a city computer. I was told by the city attorney and by the Peter that I could access my
So
city.
people who have worked with him, you
Yes.
talked to. Thank you very much.
And if you do check your emails, every council meeting, you'll see that there's usually around 13 people that are CC'd in that same message. And then the Herald and Source One is also in there as well. So every packet you get in your email also goes to them as well. So nothing, we don't leave it.
Two things. One, as far as that goes, Columbia Basin Herald is really, truly the only one that was appointed to be our media press release to. Two things. The other thing that concerns me of the financial aspect, because even Kennedy talking to people, is how can we have our highest paid person being at 74, I'm just taking the general guess there, 74, $77,000, and our chief is making double it. So my concern is we've already tried to increase, and I've fought for increases for our police department, but in all logical sense is if I was them or the union, I'd be saying, questioning, well, if he's making this much, how come there's such a gap? Because there's no gap like this in other departments. That's a huge gap. I mean, that is a huge gap. And this police chief, be it qualifications or not, makes more than our county sheriff. So I question that. We're 1,700 people. We're not thousands. So that's my next question, because I'm just looking at the financial aspect of it. I've been going through trying to find an actual. We have the job description. We didn't have an actual amount, because back when Ryan was doing the job descriptions, there was no amount for the salary. And when I tried to find the designated salary, all I found was a general budget for the police department, administration, stuff like that, but it was never broke down. So I don't even know. I mean, I was shocked. I was actually truly shocked when I seen this amount, to be completely honest. I feel it's, unless he's a person like Joey Creed, who has this outstanding background, not saying Kennedy is a bad person. I did meet him for a couple minutes on Saturday, but my concern is that's a lot of money for a little town for 1,700 people. And that really, truly will put us in the press. And, I don't know what's going to happen. And now I'm listening to concerns about, because we're not through with Ryan's thing either. I don't know. I'm really conflicted in this whole thing, because we do need this police chief. And unfortunately, our coverage, our law enforcement we have is doing the best they can. We do need this chief. We do need someone in that position. It's just questioning, is that money going to be worth it? That's a huge chunk of change for a small town, and that's my concern. So I'm very conflicted in this, and I still haven't made my decision either way of which direction I'm going. And I'm going to be completely honest with the public. I truly do not know, because I was sidelined by that article, because that was the first I heard how much he was going to get paid, and I was like, holy crap.
Can I jump in?
That's my.
Can I provide some clarification? The city actually advertised that salary, and that's how you drew your applicants. It's by state law, you have to include the salary threshold. So it's been known out there the city was going to offer a certain salary band, and this is consistent with that salary band. So he's being proposed for hiring consistent with the salary band that was advertised for the position. He's also been through, as part of the law enforcement process, through the oral boards. He was certified as a highest scorer in an independent oral board process conducted by other police chiefs, sheriffs, and others. That's how the law enforcement testing goes on. He has to be made a conditional offer of employment before you can complete the further background test, which is why the mayor has to offer him the offer of employment before it's even gone to your hands. Now that he's gone through the conditional offer of employment and has passed the background and poly, the mayor has the authority to appoint the individual. The city by law has to have a police chief. You cannot have an interim appointment indefinitely. So I understand there's concerns with the Ryan issue going on, but that is, he is terminated. He is not the police chief. If something happens in a lawsuit, we figure that out later. But for all intents and purposes, you don't have a police chief. You have an acting chief that's served a little too long at this point under your civil service rules. And by law, under state law, you have to have a police chief. So the mayor has the authority to appoint the police chief. This appointment is being proposed consistent with the salary band. The council does have the authority to approve that appointment. If the council doesn't approve the appointment, they don't get to select their candidate or leave the position unfilled. The mayor gets to then go down the line and say, okay, then I want XYZ other candidate. And we start the process sort of all over again because we have to make a new person a conditional offer. That's how this process works.
I get the process of it all. I do think some commentary that was made, that Andrew pointed out, commentary that was made about it, that we should approve it, that this is basically being said that he's the best candidate, we should basically go along with this. Don't think that was appropriate, and now the change, it's been a little tune change. My other concern is I've been digging in, trying to find where council actually approved the amount originally when the new job descriptions were done back when Ryan was doing it. And I would like to see that where the council actually approved that wage increase between the 107 or 117 that was Ryan's to this huge jump, because as we all know, I go to the meetings when I wasn't a council member, and I truly do not remember that vote of that increase. So I hope someone can shed some light on how we made such an extreme jump to this amount. So that's my other concern, and it should be also, you know, a question everybody else is asking too. And yes, it was advertised, and I truly was just like, my mind was blown when it was advertised, but I'm like, well, no, maybe they'll come in at the low end. I was trying to justify it left and right. And the more I thought about it, the more it was actually really bothering me. So this is how I feel, and it doesn't change that. And again, I'm on the fence on all of this, and it has nothing to do with the person who's nominated for this position, because he probably is a good candidate, and it seems like our staff likes him. I'm just bringing out these things that make me question financial responsibility of hiring someone at that high rate. That's the part I'm pointing out here. And I'm sure from what I've heard from the community, they're questioning it too. They've seen the posters, they've seen it posted on social media, and these questions have been going on for months. And right now, I'm really, I guess I'm more shocked that we really are sincerely thinking about something, a person for this much money, no matter what his qualifications are. So this is just my feeling.
I appreciate that. I just want to add something here. If we could just push that real quick. This has been in the public, in the newspaper for quite some time. Posted that the wage was what it is. If there was a huge issue with the wage, you guys could have came to me or came to Mr. Valentine a long time ago as well. The position is actually budgeted up from 145 to 185. With his 26 years of service, that brings up to 165, close to what Ryan was making previously with overtime. If he was appointed with your approval, he is exempt from overtime. This isn't with our budget. The budget was approved for the police department, and those are the funds that are allocated through Jeff, which is the city treasurer. He finds out that the allocation of how much new funds we have comparable to cities that are just like ours. And it is a percentage of how much more it goes up from each officer. So in this last year alone, each officer has received raises. They have been pushed up, and they are making appropriate. And if you notice, you look at the maps and stuff like that, county's going up, everyone else is going up. So even if when you guys say you're gonna appoint him tonight, and then Mr. Kennedy does get the position, tomorrow or the next week or at the end of the month, every other county, every other police department will be leveling off. It's just normal. It's just gonna happen. But the wage that it's rated for 165, absolutely in our budget and absolutely managed 100%.
Okay, you brought up about that. I actually came in and asked you about that salary, so it isn't that I haven't brought it up to you. Problem is, it's probably I'm the only one who might have brought it up to you, but I did bring it up to you because that was my concern a few months ago, but one person is not enough to make a change, so I just want public to know I did bring that up. So,
No, you absolutely did. No, and I do appreciate that. And that was always there for everyone too. And you know how we were since 2018 for all of our taxes, all of our back things financially. And right now we are financially sound. If you notice, looking at your financial reports in front of you, you see they're very clear, clear, and clear. And there's motion forward. So we have growth, even though there's a lot of expenditures going out for public works or other upgrades that we have throughout the city. We're still there solid at the same exact number and growing steadily. So the fact that the the $165,000 might seem a lot, but if you're making the same wage that the previous chief was making, plus the overtime, you're gonna be up there anyway.
Yeah, I actually spoke to Jeff today, and I asked him about, how he recently came up with the 65. It isn't, according to what he told me today, it isn't that he was basing it based on what chief's office made throughout the state. It was within our own internal department, meaning the cops and Officer Gates, were doing so much overtime that their numbers came up. Their numbers should go down with the hiring of the new officer, less overtime to help balance it out. So he was saying that that's where he primarily came up with his figures. I gave council everything graphs. I spent it last night sitting looking and comparing our department with all the other city departments within Grant County. And this rate is excessively high, but everybody else's figure, this is their base figures. This does not include their overtime. Their overtime pushes them up over this. We also have a very small department that's growing. As our department grows, those numbers will, what's the words I'm looking for? Just kind of sit still. The thing that I question the most is now, after talking with Valentine, after going through with counties and the different cities, is his yearly cost of yearly wage, gross state. I would be open to maybe discussing or whatever people looking at thinking that we cap that he be denied it for 5 years potentially. And the reason I say that is because out of the other counties and as the economy changes and it comes up with those things, he's already going to be in the advanced position. So it puts him there to where he gets sit there, and then as everybody else comes up, as our department builds up and gets more of its staff and starts balancing and stuff like that, then it allows him that he's already sitting at that max point.
I believe it's capped.
I think it is. And
Yeah, we can.
He did cap it, so he's not gonna get his yearly. It says right here in the report that he will be get every year in January, he's gonna be get those yearly cost of, what's the words? Cost of living, thank you, yes.
Julie, would you be able to speak about that portion there?
It's 4.1.
Yeah, 4.12, perfect, right. Unless otherwise agreed by the parties beginning January 1st, 2026, each following January, while Canada continues to be employed by the city, the council agrees to grant Canada a cost of living wage percentage increase equal to the same percentage wage increase granted to other non-union city employees. The council is not required to grant cost of living or other wages increase. So I'm suggesting that we put a freeze on that 5 years. As just kind of the number that come up top of my head to allow our department to rise, to allow the other surrounding departments within the county to also rise, because they are below the standards in my homework that I did.
And that's
you also functioning so differently than ours as well. We've got a chief and just a couple officers. Where other ones have got chiefs, they've got numerous sergeants, they've got numerous detectives. Even Royal City has a canine unit and department with their 4 little officers. The other thing to be mindful of is Washington State currently has an opening of 122 needed chiefs. So that means that's 122 positions that Kennedy can go to. Washington State has 676 needed officers. So what I'm saying is that there's a deficit, there's a need for officers. We don't have enough. And so that's something that we need to take also into account, that as we take on somebody, we're potentially losing, what are we turning ourselves to? I mean, I hope that helps.
So can I address the language in 4.1? Sorry, I didn't have the contract up and my mic was off. So you don't have to give him the cost of you can decide at January 1 whether he's going to get a cost of living increase, but it would be based on the fact that you're not giving any non-union employees, because union employees have cost of living increases built into their contracts. Non-union employees, which are your limited department heads, the council can decide year to year if they are going to give a cost of living increase. So you don't have to give them every year. So if you do give your non-union city employees a cost of living increase, this just says he would get the same level. If you decide not to, you get to January 1 and you say budget's too tight, we're not going to give non-union employees a cost of living increase, he would not get a cost of living increase.
So if I understand, then, so if we deny one, we deny all. If we approve one, we approve all.
Only, this is just related to your non-union. So this would cover, I believe, your public works director, your city clerk, and your police chief. And if you end up with a city administrator, your city administrator. Those would be your 4 non-union department heads. Everyone else in a union gets an automatic increase every year. The 4 department heads, you decide as the council separately. And if you give, in just a general rules terms, if you give one a cost of living increase, you should give all of them a cost of living increase. So it basically
said there, because if our city clerk is deserving of that and is bringing her wages up to her, but he's already there, all we're doing is boosting him more. I find it very unbalanced.
There's other ways of doing it. Instead, as long as you don't call somebody else's increase a cost of living increase, if you want to bring up the clerk's wages because you think she's underpaid for market, you can do a wage adjustment that is not considered a cost of living increase. If you're doing it under the basis of a cost of living increase, which is like a 3% to all, it's not merit based, it's not based on position realignment, truly a cost of living increase, if you give it to one, you've got to give it to all of the similarly situated employees. But if, say, your public works director needs some type of merit increase or your clerk needs a merit increase, those are separate, and this employee would not be entitled to that type of increase.
Okay, so we just have to change the terminology.
If you were going to give one person an increase and not any others, then yes, you would treat it as a quote unquote wage increase, a general wage increase, not a cost of living increase.
Right.
So would that force a contract change in the wording to this 4.1.2?
No, it would not, because this is true. This is only limited to if you decide to give cost of living increases. So those general 3% market rate increases to anybody, which you can decline doing. I mean, unless you decided you wanted to freeze it, then it would require an update. But you've got that flexibility without putting that in there, without making the change.
Yeah, I understand that. My concern is that we all have short memories. And so a year from now, we've forgotten all about this conversation. And unless we have something more definitive within the contract, I can see us forgetting all about this, approving an increase, and away we go.
I would like to give just 1 minute here to have.
I wouldn't suggest changing it or taking it out, because if you did that, then you're going to leave a gray area if you do decide to give cost of living increases to everybody else as to whether this position's eligible or not, because the general treatment would be it's eligible regardless. So this just specifies what the general rule is. And so I think it does get to the point, if you're ever looking at changing just one person's and intending not to change somebody else's, then we need to call it a wage increase, not a cost of living increase. So I don't think it necessitates a change.
Jody?
All right, I'm gonna have first talk with you for a minute about Mr. King.
Well, I just wanted to say, about the minutes will capture that, we can always go back and reread minutes, because they're fun to reread. Right, and I do them. Mr. Kennedy, I would like to plead with you guys tonight to very carefully consider approving the contract. Having our department, have a department head after all these months, is really needed at this point. I understand concerns that you've brought up. I have been around law enforcement for a couple of decades, and I know of Mr. Kennedy. Have never heard anything negative about him ever. Whether it was another law enforcement person talking to me or a member of the community talking to me. I think he's well respected. He does mentor, not only for when he responds to outside agencies, but within his own department. I think he's, again, he's very well respected in the law enforcement community.
I take that as a very, coming from you, because I know how much you've worked with law enforcement. A worthy thing for me to consider. I also would like to ask a question about how there's a range for the salary. How is it that, would you explain again? How is it that we're offering you the higher part of it rather than a 140 or whatever you research?
Yeah, it would have been the median, how Jeff explained it, is there's a 145 to 185. With his 26 years of experience, it puts him at, with his time on and everything, at 165 without overtime, so no overtime. So he's technically overtime example, but no matter hours he puts in, it will always be that.
Okay.
And he's not a 4-day a week either.
So the very first meeting that we squished in over at the Visitors Center of my being on the city council, I remember Ryan talking about this range, 140,000, and describing to us that his intention was to work in steps up to that range. I think that based on what I'm hearing you say, is that there's not enough trained police chiefs. And if the person at the end of the desk here gives, and I know none of the rest of you probably, I'm not advocating that you take my word for it, but you make your own decisions. But and also when I talked about, when I said what I just said about Ryan, because he was pushing, and I was impressed with his push for getting qualified police on our force. So thank you. Thank you, all of you, because I'm clearer now about why I want to vote yes.
How many years experience did you say yes?
Around, I think it's 26.
26 years of experience. He's not a detective. He's not a sergeant. He's a police officer. But that's it. He's still just a police officer.
We have someone sitting at our table here who has, maybe half of that, and he loves being just a police officer.
Back to what you said.
Yes, Robert.
What you talked about the state comparison about the 145 to the 185.
Yeah.
My conversation with Jeff today didn't match that.
He's saying that Pearson is within Geetz's overtime that he earned, Cox's overtime that he earned. So our own individual department, the monies that was spent paying these officers to perform their duties, that the balance of the 165 came out of their monies that they've currently earned, they've already done. So that's how the conversation I had, that's the way I understood
No,
what
no,
he
you're
said.
fine, yeah, so there's that portion, and then what we did too is he does have a printout of everyone's wages or whatever throughout Washington State. And then the percentage of what the officers currently make did bring it up to that 165.
Right.
So that 165 is the recommendation to our director, Treasury, Mr. Valentine. So
Right.
that's where we need to be to keep their wages. Say we take theirs and we bring it down. Now that percentage gap between say acting chief Gates or if they're promoted sergeant is closed. Now there's no room for growth. Someone's not gonna wanna do the job for, $3,000 or $4,000 more. It's not worth it. So they have that range there set on purpose so that if you want to pursue your career higher up, then that incentive is there.
It also encourages them to stay.
Correct.
I
Absolutely.
also want to add that, I went and spoke with several community members. I spoke with non-criminals and I spoke with criminals. Okay. The non-criminals love Kennedy. I've not heard one person that says, other than kind of what we're here, most of them, the criminals, and the reason I know criminals is I actually worked for the juvenile department back in the early 90s and 2000s. I worked in Kennedy back then, 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, he was very arrogant. He was very power hungry, very authoritarian control. 20 years ago, I was a lot different person as well. So I don't know who Kennedy is now, but the consensus out on the streets is he's not nearly as aggressive and as authoritative as what he used to be. So I've got one of my probation juvenile kids that she now lives in Spokane. She now comes over yearly specifically to see him to say thank you. So my vote is a yes. I was reluctant. I was good with it. And because of the 165 is primary was my issue. But I did my homework and I understand it a little bit better. But that's where it's at.
I want to thank you for doing your homework because it benefited
Police
the
department matters. It's a priority.
So I just want to clarify, we have presented this to Mr. Kennedy. He's signed the contract here, so we're approving the contract at the salary that has been, or approving or disapproving his contract on the salary that this is the offer he's already accepted.
Correct.
Okay, and he's been vetted by all the complete police process that included all the evaluations. You had a board of people that interviewed him.
Correct.
Okay, so I have some questions about the contract. That's appropriate time to ask.
Ms. Norton? Yeah, what would you like to ask?
Okay, well,
Yeah, just saying.
well, first of all, typos in it. I'd like to bring it to your attention.
There's what?
On page 5, number 10, it says her duties. I think it was boilerplate. That means.
Oh, you know what? That was fixed.
Okay. Okay, and then it says in 12:1, city council president, we don't have a city council president.
right.
There's 2 attachments that are assumed to be part of the contract package, which I have not seen the attachments. And I don't know, are they just boilerplate as well? Julie, could you speak to that, please?
The attachment that you're not looking at is what would be the severance. There's only one attachment, and that would be oh no, there's 2 because the position description was also attached for more clarification. But the other exhibit is the sample severance agreement that he would be presented with if the city were to choose to terminate him without cause. So if it had no basis to terminate him, you can do that at any time. You just have to agree to pay him a previously agreed on severance amount, which is contingent on him signing the agreement. So it's just, that
So that's
exhibit is just a
seven-
sample of the severance agreement.
That's 7.3.
Yes.
And then there's number 18, that those are the two that I'm making.
What's wrong, man?
Was there, did I miss something? Was there another question there?
No, thank you.
Oh, okay.
One last clarification, on my part anyway. So, the question was asked if, Chief Cox wins his appeal. Does that mean that that he retains his position as police chief of Salt Lake?
It's too preliminary to tell, because if he prevailed, it would depend on on exactly what he prevails on. There's not the Civil Service Commission would decide whether there was cause for the termination. That's what's been appealed. And the Civil Service Commission's remedies are approve, disapprove, or modify the discipline. But that's not even the separate lawsuit that could be brought later. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he comes back as the chief. It just depends. There's a possibility if he prevails. But
Okay, thank you.
Mike. I got another question. Do we carry any type of liability insurance against wages to protect us against events like this?
Our insurance provider, AWC, RMSA.
yeah,
So
you've
they're
got,
useful.
So, case, then the insurance will pay out the back wages and the losses that's owed to them, or does that come out of our city fund?
the city carries employment insurance, which means if there's an employment claim for, say, wrongful termination sometime down the road, the insurance pool will cover that part of the claim. This Civil Service Commission proceeding is considered administrative, and so insurance doesn't cover this part of the process. They are aware of it, they're monitoring it.
The civil service comes up with a decision and they're unhappy with it, and then goes to court. Our insurance takes care of it.
Correct.
But the
From
civil
court
service
on.
court now doesn't. Yeah.
Okay.
And insurance will usually participate in negotiated settlements. They don't generally pay back wages, but I mean, I don't want to get too detailed into litigation strategies at an open meeting, but there's
So if you do have questions, you can
a
reach
lot
out
of
to-
time and a lot of roads that can be paths that can be taken, and what is pending now should not prevent you from installing a police chief.
I just said one thing, and I only brought it to attention because of the whole sergeant situation. Coming in at those wages, let's say, and I know I'm just picking on you because
Go
you're
for
here. When he steps back into a position of patrol FTO, and he wants to, let's say, a candidate gets hired and wants to increase him to a sergeant or a lieutenant, whatever the case may be. Coming in at the side wage, do we have the funds to be able to fund something like that? Or are we basically gonna have to stay status quo where nobody can move because we're coming in this high?
No, when we start the budget, we predict it out. So the event that, say, Candy comes in and you guys do approve them, then they want to make a starts position, it's still within the budget. Now, remember all the CJTC monies, the way that we've been currently paying to Grant counties, those are coming back. So and then some of the vehicles, you'll see that they're transferred to public works. So those funds, you'll see them start allocating. So their wages, you see through their budget funds, they're gonna start coming back up, the profit percentage, what they should be throughout the year. So we're not gonna do anything that's gonna put the city in jeopardy or financially. That will never happen with Jeff. That will never happen with us. And if you have concerns about in the future of, say you guys do appoint him today, will there be accountability if Mr. Kennedy steps out of line? Absolutely. Will it be brought to you? Absolutely. Will you have a choice? Absolutely. Because there will be that transparency there. We're not gonna have anything that happened any other time. We will make sure that he's held accountable for what he's doing and make sure he's doing it the proper way that we need him for our city. And that's how he knows coming in. That's why at any time, we're not happy, if you read the contract, we don't need cause.
Does that we include the city council, because that's not.
That's we, us, all of us in here, yes.
Danielle, did you get an answer to your own question?
Yes.
Okay. I'll ask you about it.
Okay. The way I see this, we need a chief. I'm not happy with the wages either. And I'm not really happy with the process. I think things could have been handled a little bit differently. We would have had less questions, there'd be less controversy up here. But I want what's best for the city, and I do think we need a chief, and we will hold him accountable. And I wish the timing was different. I wish we already had to deal with Ryan Overwood, so we didn't have to worry about any of that, have that hanging over our head. But if we've gone past the limits of when we can have an interim chief, and we would have to, or active chief, we have to hire an interim, and if we're just gonna keep going through this process. I'm gonna vote yes, because we have to move forward, but I want it known that I'm not happy with the salary. In a perfect world, I'd talk to Mr. Kennedy and say, we should take a little less, but I think that's the difference.
I believe, if I don't want to get his exact numbers, that he's averaging around almost $140,000 a year right now. So for his bump up to the chief, that percentage is not very much for him.
I'm looking at the budget cash flow year to date, and it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, the police salaries are at 52% of budget. And the police benefits are at 51% of budget. Now we're already into month 7. So I think our budget looks good for that.
Yeah, and those funds still from CJTC have not all come in yet. So you'll see that drop really nicely gradually. And we're on point, which is good for the city.
Okay, thank you.
And I want us to remember that, it's the Civil Service Commission that is having us have so much time be spent without a police chief. And, well, it's, and, they have taken Julie.
No.
Well, didn't they
No, so if
proclaim it and
yeah, so the
extended it?
yeah.
Correct.
That'll become on the 19th.
Yeah, Ryan's attorney requested an extension of the hearing. He did not have his discovery done, didn't do it in compliance with what was ordered. So we have to redo the discovery schedule, reset the hearing dates. Yeah, it's not necessarily civil services fault. These processes just take a while. And the bottom line is this is just the administrative proceeding. So regardless of, if the city prevails, he will likely appeal. If he prevails, the city will likely appeal, and then it'll get to court anyway. So we're a ways from having this resolved.
I just want to add, since I know we've already said this and whatnot, but there's one thing that overtime piece, I think, is a critical piece. By bringing on or getting a chief, I know they'll bring our department up to 4. If I remember right, last year, maybe the year before, we actually had funds for a total of 5 for approved with a potential 6th position becoming available too. So that will bring the current department staff, decrease their overtime. So that will fill in that gap, because Kennedy will not be allowed to have overtime. If he got to put in 80 hours, he's gonna get paid whether he does 80 hours or whether he does 40 hours, period, right? And that was where Cox Doc's had overtime, he got overtime.
If it was in your budget, within the city's budget, the police department's budget, and you had enough funds to hire 1 million officers, you could do it. But you need to stay within the budget of everything else for police officer. But obviously, they're gonna keep it in manageable position here. And then, they do right now, currently have, acting chief Gates, we have Michael Bias, Yuri Bezevenko, and Smith in the academy right now. And then if you guys choose to appoint acting chief, Chief Kennedy, then there's 5 completely. So they have the ability through the budget, as soon as we start getting the funds back to CJTC and everyone is out, to hire a secondary one. Or maybe, I know acting chief Gates was here talking, maybe another reserve officer to come in too to help out as well. So there's plenty of work.
Things are gonna start balancing. Once we get things moving and actively going, they're gonna come.
They'll level up
This little
really
gap that's in between, yeah.
Right, and there'll be a lot of budget amendments coming up for the police department too. We do have one here, from surplus. Eventually there'll be surplus for motorcycles, so some of the assets that they're not gonna use, it's repetitive for the department to have it. We're going to make sure that it's sent off to another department, and those funds go back into the coffers for the city as well. So they have talked about, through Candy too, looked over the budget, and with acting chief Gates and Mr. Valentine, to do a budget amendment to, hey, we don't need these funds, they're better suited for public works or city infrastructure, then they'll be moved down.
I want to thank us, I want to thank us for having this discussion here, so that you guys out there, are aware that, and I'm aware of how each of us feels. That's what. So, and thanks, thank you.
All right, there's been a motion on the floor, a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor that the appointment of the new chief of police for the city of Silver Lake to be Patrick Cannon.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. I really appreciate it very much. And I'm a firm believer, if you don't want to say yes, don't say yes. And if you say yes, because you want to say yes. So I do appreciate that very much. All right, we're moving on to next order of business. Next resolution declares certain personal property surplus and authorization of sale and or disposal thereof of firearms and ammunition. With a number of 2025-1032. Acting Chief Gates.
Sure, so this is our old pistols that we have now moved out of service. They are going to be surplus out to the guy that business that we bought our guns from, Double Tap Weaponry. We have around 8,500 rounds that are also gonna be surplus out, as we don't carry that round any longer.
We have a motion on the floor to have a resolution to declare certain personal property as surplus and authorize the sale and therefore of the firearms and ammunition.
So moved.
And second,
I'll second.
any comment? Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Next ordinance 1351, next resolution 1033. All right, we're open up to comments. Would you like to start down at the end, work your way around? Yeah.
Thank you. Question, do we need to bring our laptops in for the upgrade?
Soon, so they're supposed to be here tomorrow, so hopefully IT will come right down and put everything in, and I will schedule a time with each one of you to come down, so they're all set up. We'll set temporary passwords up. They have to be physically hooked into the network, so they can download all the information they need for safety, and then I will give you a call personally, and then either bring it to you, or you can come in.
Are these new laptops? Okay, thank you. Can I ask another question? I would like to know about the Director of Public Works title. Could we add that to the next agenda? And
We save that one for the next one, because we know we have a couple of council members that's did not be here. We can put it on the agenda to, we'll bring these samples and stuff for you guys to review.
Sure.
And then we'll talk about it. That would be perfect.
And. Oh, but the brand renewal, where are we with the brand renewal?
Raymond, we are moving forward with that. too.
Oh, we are,
Yeah.
okay, good, because we're trying to do creative district logos and stuff, we need to incorporate it, we'll talk. And what other? Oh, I'd like to discuss the opportunity to renew the tourism committee at some point, if council wants to take that up again. I think there's opportunities for us to go after grants, stuff like that. I know at any city over 5,000, they're required to have a tourism board. But let's talk about whether we want the council to talk about it again, because it was brought up to me a couple times.
It's funny you just mentioned that. So the Association of Grant Counties Connect, the Washington City that we go to every 3 months, they're also thinking about creating one as well. And that would be for every city, one person from your city would go there, represent all of them. And then instead of each person or each city saying, hey, we're gonna try to pull grants for here, each city is gonna say, okay, what do you need in your town? Maybe creative district or anything. Say, hey, we need all new signage or all new walking paths for people. Every city will get on board and say, this is what we want for this city this time. And then we're gonna be basically going around each city saying, we're gonna help you raise grants for this one. By the collective, we go to the state and hire.
Thank you.
I'd like to give you a brief update about what's happened based on the June 28th, which is rapidly proceeding into the sunset, meeting of all of the various Quincy irrigation districts, the state DOE, and 2 members of the Bureau themselves. What's come out of that basically is we're going to recommend to the city council and at the next meeting, it took us off this meeting, and research is a researcher from Washington State University from the Civil and Environmental Health Engineering Department wants to do well research. And so it's pretty exciting that something has essentially, and I wanted to make sure that we all understood, this has come out of that meeting. And like I said, I stopped counting at 60, so many of you were actually at that meeting. So I'm pretty excited, and we'll see what comes of this. I think it's going to be good for the lake and for that news for Silver.
And that's fortunately the one that's gonna do the actual testing too as well. So that's a free service. She's gonna be writing this thesis, the paper stuff.
Yes.
Very informative for the city. It's free. And the aspect that not only is it gonna do assets for the lake, but also for our wells. So then I'll get Eli involved in that too, so that she'll be able to help us with free monitoring for our aquifer, our groundwater, the lake, the levels where it should be, all the historic information. And she's gonna put in the new updated version, so it's more easily readable for either new generation or to be able to put a huge timeline on it too. And it's free. She really wants to do it, so this is really cool. Did I say it was free? Okay.
She'll need money, but she's gonna get some.
Right.
And in addition to that, the Quincy Irrigation District, when I was talking with the manager there, Roger Sinichin, did I say that right? I remember you said, oh, you're at SEN. Anyway, he got all excited about this and was playing with his computer, and he said, oh, I think I can get all this data because the irrigation district is who does all of the testing going back in time on our lake. So he thinks he can maybe dig that up, and we'll have the right data.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to report on something that's already been brought up during the June 4th city council meeting. Our city planner at the time, Alex Goldback, his contract had been terminated. And to the surprise of city council, at least some of the city council members and our some of our citizens as well. It was noted at the time that we had asked, or actually I asked Alex at the time if he knew why he didn't. He wasn't really given a reason. So I said, well, you know, I'll meet with the mayor and both Councilmember Bryson and myself, we met with Peter and asked him, you know, the reason why. It was a pretty simple question. And anyway, he gave several reasons. Then I met with Alice himself. He shared with me his thoughts in regards to this termination of the contract. I wrote all that up into a report. I think one of the main things to keep in mind here is that as part of Alex's contract with the city has the right to terminate his contract at any time without us. And so, you know, certainly they have that option. The mayor has that option at any time to do that. He exercised that option. Anyway, I got the report that I put together. There's no opinion here. It's just what I heard from city administration, what I heard from Alex. If anybody has any questions, looking into the future, I suggest you talk with the city. If you would like to have a copy of this report, I'd be happy to give it to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Taylor, would you,
Yes.
Councilor Taylor, would you like to have any comments?
I just done my.
No, I was just asking, who's next line? My laptop's gonna die any second now, I'm gonna hurry this up.
No.
That's what Carson.
Everything?
Okay. Okay, I prepared a statement here. And I did this in a way because I just wanna say it and not go off on a tangent. Over the past few months, I spent a great deal of time reflecting on my role, not only on city council, but also within the various community groups where I dedicated countless hours of service. As someone who stepped forward to serve because I cared deeply about the city and its people, this has not been an easy journey. Lately, I found myself feeling increasingly unheard and unrepresented, and even within the very groups and systems I've worked hard to support. It is disheartening to invest so much energy and heart into public service only to feel that your voice doesn't carry the weight it once did, or worse, that it was dismissed altogether. The feeling has only been amplified by the tone and content of two recent media articles, particularly one surrounding the first release about our new police chief. The statement from our current appointed mayor left me questioning whether city council is truly being treated as a collaborative body. It feels as though transparency has eroded, and the sense of unity I felt when I first began their journey has slowly faded. Comments suggested that the council is interfering with day-to-day operations, or what we are simply there for policies and procedures, sends a clear and discouraging message that our input, our questions, and our desire to be engaged are unwelcomed. That atmosphere does not encourage involvement, it silences it. On top of that, I've been ridiculed publicly for things I have no control over, accused of criminal behavior that never occurred, or targeted with false images portraying a shady action by someone who wasn't even me. The spread of misinformation and baseless accusations has taken a toll not just on me personally, but also my family and more people close to me. I understand the public service comes with scrutiny, but I've also experienced, what I've experienced has gone far beyond constructive criticism. When the conversation turns into harassment, misrepresentation, and personal attacks, it stops being about accountability and starts becoming harmful.
For those reasons, I'm seriously reevaluating my involvement, not only on council, but also with any other organizations where I serve. This is not a decision I make lightly, but it's also one I must consider for the sakes of my well-being, peace of mind, and personal integrity. I remain committed to the values that led me to serve in the first place, and I hope that as a community, we can return to a place of respect, honesty, and genuine collaboration. Thank you for those who have supported me and believe in my work that I've tried to do. At this time, I will continue on council, and find my place and figure out exactly what I want to do. But I want you to know, because I feel like my voice has been silenced, because most of you know I'm a very outspoken person. And I just find this is not me. I don't like who I've become. And that's what this evaluation is all about. So I just wanted to make that statement today. Thank you.
I really appreciate you saying that. And we are not letting you go anywhere because we do appreciate you, Susan, very much in all things you do. We do. I do personally too.
I don't have too much to say, but I do want to thank Danielle, because the graph she made and points that you brought up really helped to see.
Yes, good, good.
So I appreciate that very much. Thank you, Danielle.
Any more comments? Okay, let's close the public comment. Need a motion to adjourn? Thank you. Second?
No.
No?
That's not. Do we need? Do we need to, describe the next ordinance and resolution, because that's just part of it without saying it?
You did.
Already did.
Oh, you did, I'm sorry.
That's before comment.
Okay, and then I would like to say, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
There's no motion on the floor in a second. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Julie.
Good night.